Hello and welcome everyone. In today's webinar, that is MSUB and MSM Agent E-Summit 2021. Our attendees are on process of joining the webinar. Hoping that you all and your families are safe and healthy from wherever you are attending this webinar. We all are going through this invisible pandemic, and I'm sure that humanity will overcome the current situation. I would like to thank everyone for taking out time to attend this webinar. Well, my name is Anjal Sharma and I am Manager India Subcontinent and Africa for Montana State University Billings. And I will be your moderator for today's webinar. I am delighted and pleased to introduce today's presenter, Dr. Paul Foster, Executive Director of International Studies, and Elisa, Administrative and Immigration Assistant. Heartily welcome Dr. Paul and Elisa for joining this webinar. Before I hand over the mic to Dr. Paul and Elisa, I would like to tell the housekeeping requirements. So the housekeeping requirements are, please use the chat box function to inform us about any technical issues if you are facing. There will be Q&A section after the end of the presentation, and use the Q&A button to send your questions during the session. So now those who have joined again, I welcome them for the Agent E-Summit, that is MSM and MSUB 2021. So now I would like to pass on the mic to Dr. Paul and Elisa for the further information for MSUB.
Okay, thank you, Anchal. It's a pleasure to be here. My name, as you mentioned, I'm Paul Foster. I am the Director of the International Studies Office here at Montana State University Billings. And joining me is Elisa Batchelor, who is our immigration specialist. So we work very closely with our team in India, Anchal and Sneha, and many others to successfully enroll students from India at our university. So here's the first picture. You can see what a beautiful campus we have. One of the important features of our campus and our university is the town of Billings. You know, it's a very small, very green town. It's a safe community. Our students are a very vital and important part of the community. That's just a lovely picture of the beautiful blue sky. So to begin with, a little bit about Montana. Montana is the fourth largest state in the United States according to the geographic size. We are an extremely large state, except there are very few people here. It's one of the lesser known states in the United States traditionally. It's located in the northwest of the United States, so we are very close to the border. We are on the border with Canada. We also very close to Washington, Oregon, and California. When people think about Montana, they think about the natural beauty. We have very high mountains. We have two national parks, Yellowstone National Park and Glacier National Park. So you see a picture there. This is Glacier National Park, I believe. You know, in 4 seasons, beautiful weather here, beautiful seasons. We have nice summers and springs and falls. Winter activities are important for people who live here. It is safe, as I mentioned. This is a very important concern for students, for parents, I know, and for students when choosing a location to study. So I think Montana is a very safe location to come. Our city within Montana is a very, very safe and welcoming community. One of the things that we notice here is very low pollution, low traffic. A lot of our students, especially coming from larger urban areas, are very pleased to live in a quiet area that is easy to drive and easy to take the bus and use public communication, transport, but gives the students plenty of time for studies, for really focusing on their studies. And then finally, it's a very good shopping area because Montana is one of the few states in the United States that does not have a sales tax. So anything you buy here is tax-free. So there's the map of the United States to give you a reference of where we are, all the way up there in the north. And you can see it's a very large state. Um, the economy is very strong. One of the issues for our students is always finding employment and working. We offer employment opportunities on campus, but the economy in Billings and in Montana has continued to be very strong during the past year of the pandemic. Many of our students are able to find professional opportunities in the city of Billings and in the state of Montana. So Seattle is probably the best known large city on the Pacific coast close to us. It's about 1,000 kilometers east of here. We have many students from Washington State and very good communication between Seattle and Billings. We are much closer to Yellowstone National Park. We, Elisa and I and people in the university go to Yellowstone National Park all the time. It's very close. It's a couple of hours by car. So it's one of the benefits of living so close to beautiful nature. The cost of living, we should mention, in Billings is very low. Apartments can be found for students that choose to live off campus. Restaurants and foods, it's among the more affordable locations in the state of Montana. And then, as I mentioned before, the city of Billings is really, we consider it our urban center for the state of Montana. There's probably 150,000 people, 150,000. For us, that is a very big city. For you in India, that's probably not considered very large. But that's one of the benefits that we see is living in a smaller community like this. But even though it's smaller internationally, for us, it's still it's a regional center for business, for finance, for retail, and for trade. So we are in different rankings. We've received over the past couple of years quite a bit of positive mentions in national publications. The city itself of Billings has become quite attractive for people moving from larger cities. In the United States, we're seeing many people leaving large cities during the past year to move into smaller communities. This is happening throughout Montana and what we call the Rocky Mountain area of the West. So Utah and Colorado and Idaho and Montana, these states are growing in population as larger cities like New York and Los Angeles have seen a decrease in population. So yeah, the community here is very supportive of the university. We're located right in the center of the city of Billings. So our students can walk to our very vibrant and exciting downtown. There's many restaurants nearby, walking distance, and we have a good integration with the local community here. As far as the university, we are ranked number 5 according to different rankings for mid-sized universities in this region. By mid-sized, we mean a university that has a master's degree programs. We do not have PhD programs. So we are really focused on what we call, the master's size university, regional masters. Okay. So the features that I like to point out about Montana State University Billings are, the teaching. We are really focused on as a teaching institution. So our class sizes are very small. Your students, when they do come to our university, our professors know the students, usually by name. They're, usually less than 20 students in a class. I think our student to faculty ratio is about 18:1. So that's very strong at this time in the state of Montana. The classrooms, very few classrooms do we have that are large auditoriums. Most of them are very small with less than 20 students in the classrooms. Our professors, I can say, really care about their teaching and really care about their students' success. So that's something that is very good for parents. It's very good for the students in terms of making sure that they are focused on their studies and they're making progress in their degree. Second, the students enjoy this. We have a beautiful green campus. The students can live on campus. We have many students that live on campus and students that live really nearby campus. So it's kind of like a family, a family atmosphere that it's slow moving, it's quiet, there's good attention for support of the students. In terms of the options for degrees, we have over 100 different degree options. We are accredited by all of the national and the regional accreditation agencies. So we are a public university, which means we are supported by the state of Montana to really support the mission of higher education in the state of Montana. So our degrees are recognized nationally and internationally. Um, and then the employment opportunities, I mentioned that as well. Many of our students work during their years as an undergraduate, um, sometimes as interns, sometimes as working in the summertime through course programs. There are many opportunities to work in their chosen field of whatever the students are choosing to study here in Billings. Affordable, it's a cheaper option to study at a university such as MSUB, but it is still expensive internationally, and we realize that. So we have developed several scholarships to really support our students, our international students. The scholarship that we really are proud of is called the Explore Montana Scholarship. And this is based on the student's high school record, or if they're transferring from another university based on their success at that university. So we would have up to $10,000 per year in scholarships for students that have the highest levels of success in high school. Okay. So we have 5 different colleges, faculties, colleges within the university. Many of our students from India are studying in the College of Business. This is a very good option for students. We have majors in accounting, finance, management, marketing, as well as general business. It's reported in US World and News Report. We are very highly ranked according to that important ranking. We are also accredited internationally by the AACSB, which is probably the #1 accrediting agency in the world for business programs. We really focus, as you know, in the United States is hands-on learning and problem-based learning. So the practical learning approach with real life business assignments is key to the success of our students. This is a very good program in the College of Business, and combined with our faculty and our professors that are very dedicated to teaching, the students in the College of Business make good progress. They're able to find jobs in their field. And we continue to see majority of our international students are studying in the College of Business. But at the same time, we have a College of Health Professions and Science. This is health and human performance. Health is a very important business sector here in the city of Billings. We are a regional hospital center, so there are many hospitals and health providers in the city of Billings. So our students work very closely with the hospitals, with the providers. We have human services bachelor's degree, very interesting program in outdoor adventure leadership, athletic training, coaching, and such type of bachelor's degree, and also in the master's level. We also offer something in an associate degree, which is very attractive to many of our students from India. These are 2-year programs that study a variety of different fields: computer, desktop, network support, programming, computer systems, cybersecurity, networking. Quite a few of these, but This is a 2-year degree, and the cost of tuition is lower for a 2-year degree than it is for a 4-year degree. So many of our international students will start in the 2-year degree program, and then once they've earned their associate degree, they will transfer to the bachelor degree program within our university. So it's a good way of reducing the cost for students. It's also opening up a number of new fields of study at that level. We have a College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. This is a very strong area of the university, again, connected to the hospitals and to the health services. We have biology and chemistry, biochemistry, communication, environmental studies, psychology. These are really well connected to the industries and the local business here in Billings, but also we have a brand new building with state-of-the-art laboratories for biology and chemistry and the life sciences. Okay. So to application, and Elisa is here with me. We are accepting applications year round. There is a rolling application period for us, so your students are able to apply at any time. We do not require the nationalized test, SAT, ACT are not required. Likewise, for the graduate students, these GMAT or the GRE are not required. We accept many different tests to demonstrate English language proficiency. One of them that we see is more popular is Duolingo, and that's easier to take than some of the larger tests. It can be taken anywhere on a computer with internet connections. We also have very good support for our students here. So once they've applied and been accepted, we have a very good academic support center where students will receive tutoring and individual support for their studies. So students that are studying in English for the first time, we realize it's a transition and we have the specialist to really help them make that transition. Okay. Next slide, please. So the undergraduate application process is a small fee, $35 or $30 if it's paper-based. The minimum GPA is a 2.5. The students will need their passport, proficiency in English, IELTS, or many other tests, and then their high school records. This is sent into our university using our colleagues and our friends, the professionals at MSM. And then all the information is sent to our office here in Billings, and we are able to admit the student very quickly. Usually within 2 or 3 days, we have an answer. Sometimes we wait a little bit in terms of the records from the students, but once all the material is sent to us, we can make the admissions very quickly. That is the first step. And then the next step is the information for the student to obtain a visa, a United States study visa, student visa. This, we have to get more information from the student about their finances to make sure that the student has enough money in the bank that they're able to support themselves as a student for 1 year. You all know how difficult it is to get a visa to the United States as a student. We work very closely with the embassies and the consulates throughout India to make sure that we are presenting all the facts about Montana State University in Billings. I think the most important for the embassies is to make sure that the students are coming to Montana to study in one of our programs and really intend to come back to India to complete their professional careers. I have had many discussions with members at the consulate and the embassy, and this is very important for them that the student demonstrate clearly that they're coming back to India. There are many visas, many visas to the United States, but a student visa really means that the student is going to the United States for a short period of time, 4 years or 2 years or 6 years, and then coming back home to use their skills. So whatever the student can do to demonstrate that intent on returning home is very critical for getting a visa. The application for graduate studies is very similar. Admission is a little bit slower just because the faculty, the professors are involved in this. Many times in the graduate programs, applications are writing personal statements about their interest in studying here. They include more of a professional resume of what they've done in their careers. Admission takes a little bit longer, but we work very closely with our graduates program and our graduate studies office to get these done as quickly as possible. And then the same process for students that are trying to achieve and get the student visa. We need financial forms, and there has to be a very clear indication that the students are coming back home to India. So we realize the past year has been very difficult for students, for everyone throughout the world. And right now in India, we recognize how difficult situation your country is, and we we feel an understanding that this is going to slow down the process. We understand that many of the embassies and consulates are not taking applications right now for student visas, but we work very closely with the United States government to make sure that your students, when the embassies and consulates are open, that they will be given a fair chance for their application. Okay. Next slide, please. So part of the studies in the United States, as you know, is the what we call extracurricular or outside of the curriculum. This means clubs, it means social activities, it means everything life outside of their studies. We have a couple of very good organizations to support our international students, as well as many different clubs on campus. The ones that I would highlight here are the Billings Friendship Families. When a student arrives in Billings, they will be met at the airport by a member of the community that will pick them up at the airport and drive them to our campus housing and really be their family for the period of time that they're here. They're able to drive them around town, invite them home to their house for dinners or for weekends, take them on excursions. It's important that the students just get to know the community of Billings and realize the people of Billings want to support them as an international student. The Billings Friendship Families is a very good organization, and we have different barbecues and meetings and events throughout the year to welcome our community members onto campus to meet with our students. The second is the Multicultural Club. These are students themselves that organize themselves and have different events on campus and off campus. They have a president and a vice president. They have elections every year for officers. Students from all over the world, plus our local students, are members of this club. It's more of a social club, so they'll take trips to areas very close to Billings. They'll go to Yellowstone, rent buses or cars and go to Yellowstone and go into the city of Billings for different restaurants and meetings. It's a great way for the international students to make friends with the local students and really enjoy Billings and the region. And then you see we have many other clubs on campus, and we really encourage our students to be engaged and to join clubs and to be active in the community. It's a way of broadening their education and making the connections that will support them throughout their careers. Okay. Here are some pictures, our facilities. It's hard to see. We have on our website, we have quite a bit of materials, and our friends at MSM can show you these on our website. We have different virtual tours that you're able to take of the campus, but it's a very large green area. It's almost like a park. When you're walking through here in the summertime, green trees, large grassy areas. The students live on campus. They have the choice of living on campus. Many of our international students choose to live on campus just because it's a very nice location living on campus and very close to the town of Billings. There's activities, there's 2 cafes in the residential halls where students eat. They have different plans for lunch and breakfast and for dinner. The rooms are very comfortable. Students can choose to live in a single room by themselves, or we really encourage them to live with a roommate. And we work hard to make sure that the students are paired with a roommate that is very compatible to them. That's another great way to get to know the community, is by living with someone from Billings and from the region. We have a very, very strong library where students are able to study, quiet space for them to study whenever they need to get out of their dormitories, out of their home, different game rooms and physical activities, gyms, sporting events on campus. But it's a really striking area. And some of our student housings, the view they have of the city of Billings is really just spectacular. So we're in a very beautiful green location. Okay. So the cost, the tuition charges are number one for our students when they ask about studying here. The associate degree, you see the numbers there. These are numbers for 1 year. This is the tuition charges. The bachelor's is almost twice that, and the master's degree for 1 year is a little bit less than the bachelor's. So one of the areas to consider is the tuition charges are separate from the housing charges and the cost of living charges. So this is the fee, the tuition charges that all students have to pay. It's very common in the United States that we have different rates, different charges for tuition, depending on where the student's from. If the student is from the state of Montana, they are supported by the state of Montana. They pay one tuition charge. And everyone that's outside the state of Montana, whether you're from Florida or for India, you pay this rate. So there's no specific rate of tuition for international students. It's for us just seen as non-resident students, non-resident of the state of Montana. Okay, Anchal. So this is the Explore Montana Awards. So one of the way that we can really support your students, your good students, is by giving them these scholarships called Explore Montana. These are based on the GPA of the student's record in high school. So we have experts in our admission office that will analyze the student's record or transcript from high school. And based on their success, we will give them a scholarship anywhere between $500 and $10,000. So as you can imagine, this is really important for the student's family to receive a scholarship, but I would also say it increases the chance for the student to receive a visa if they're receiving a scholarship. The scholarship demonstrates to everyone that we are committed to the student, that we want that student to be with us in Montana, and we will give them a scholarship to support their studies. These scholarships are renewable every year for 4 years, as long as the student is doing well. So Elisa is working with me on these scholarships, and every day we are giving scholarships to students up to $10,000 a year. Students that are very highly qualified, they have good GPA, grade point average at an undergrad at their high school. And we produce a letter that I sign saying that they're receiving the scholarship. That's very important when they're trying to get the visa. They fill out forms, as you know, to receive the I-20. There's information that the family provides about the financial resources, but at the same time, if we are giving a scholarship to the students, the embassy takes note of that. Okay, next slide. The Golden Plan. So one way to make it more affordable for international students is we've developed what we call pathways. So a very very common way for international students to study at MSU Billings is to begin, as I mentioned, 2 years as an associate degree. And remember, the charges, the tuition for associate degrees are less than for a bachelor's degree. Students will study for 2 years, earn an associate degree, but after they've earned that degree, they have the right to work in the United States for 1 year in a program called OPT. So the students will work for 1 year and they can earn an income. They can work in Billings. Most of them choose to stay in Montana and Billings, but students are also able to work anywhere in the United States. There are restrictions about OPT. They have to work in their field of study. So if they're in the college business, they have to be working in the business environment. Then after that 1 year of work, they come back to the university and finish their bachelor's degree. So 2 years to finish the bachelor's degree. And then once again, the students have the right to work based on earning that degree for 1 more year as an OPT. So that's why it's called the Golden Plan, 2 + 1 + 2 + 1. It gives the students a really good chance to work professionally in the United States and to earn those skills, which are important when they're seeking a job after they finally have graduated. So that's one of the options our students use to lower the cost of paying for their education. Okay, next one, please. So information, our website is very good. We have quite a bit of information and we seek to keep everything up to date there. We have printed materials as well available through MSM and our friends there. But I would really encourage you to contact or to take a look at what's available on the website. All the new information we put on that website very quickly. We have something, if you see the MSUB Viewbook in 2021, we have a campus tour of videos and virtual tours, and then a full list of academic programs you'll find there and the requirements to graduate in those programs. Many questions I can see coming in through the chat. I would be happy to answer questions. Anshul and Sneha and Alisa are here. I have to say Anshul and Sneha know our university really well. We've worked extremely well with MSM for many years now, and we have a great relationship. They know the university very well. They know our requirements very well. They can answer your questions. If you have other questions, you can always contact Alisa or myself. Okay, Anshul, I will turn it over to you now and let you say a few words.
So thank you, Dr. Paul and Lisa, for the presentation and telling us the insights of the university. So now we would like to answer all the questions, whatever we are having in the chat box. So Sneha, if you can just, take to the question and answers.
Yes, I'm answering. Actually, there's a question from Shivani. Are undergraduate students allowed to work outside the campus?
Yes, students can work outside the campus. There are two different ways of working outside the campus. It's called CPT, curricular CPT, and there's the OPT, which is the optional practical training. CPT is a shorter duration and it is always connected to an internship. So many of our classes have internship opportunities where students will be directed by a professor for their learning, but the learning will be taking place outside of campus. So the students will actually be working in Billings. In the summertime, they can work full-time. During the academic year, they can only work 20 hours per week. And that's approved by our office. Lisa is in charge of that, and we see applications all the time for students to work off campus. And we have a very strong campus office that will help students find jobs off campus and internships off campus.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul, second question is from Sanya. How many years gap will accept after 12th and graduation?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How many years of gap will be accepted after 12th and graduation?
Good question, Sonia. I think if you mean after the period of graduating from high school and before they join the university, very flexible. You know, our university has students that are traditional age that are coming here at the age of 18 or 19, but we also have international students that join us after working in their home country. We have students that join us when they're 23, 25 years old, graduate level, 30 years old. The university really prides itself on what we call lifelong learning. So many of our students are the traditional college age, but within our community, we have students that are working professionals, people that are coming back to the university to earn a new degree or their first degree or certificate. So we're very flexible after the 12th years of high school and graduation.
I hope, Sanya, you have got your answer. So the next question is from Ritesh. For UG student, is it compulsory to live in university accommodation, or they can live on their own in any private accommodation?
Either one is acceptable. Students, we know that depending on the age of the student and the background, the environment on the campus, living on campus is much better for students when they're first joining the university, if their first experience. The food is provided, they have support through the university, they're living right on the campus. It's a very good atmosphere. After the first year, the second year, some of our students choose to live off campus. We have very many houses around this area of Billings that are walking distance from the campus. Students can live together. We have houses where 4 or 5 students will live together in a house. They have their own kitchen, their own bedroom. It's up to them to make those arrangements. Students that receive scholarship that explore Montana, we require them to live on campus just because it makes sense for those students that have earned a scholarship based on their performance to be very close to campus. We see also students that are living on campus are very engaged in activities on campus. They are student leaders, get to know people very well, and are part of our community. That's a really important part of the learning process here. But it's up to the student. They can choose to live wherever they like.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. And one of our next question is from Kalyani. How many backlogs are accepted for our university?
How many
Backlogs.
What are backlogs? I'm not familiar with that.
Anchal?
So Kalyani, we generally require 8 backlogs for the graduate one, and for the undergraduates, we generally do not have the backlogs, so it is 8.
Next question is from Dildeep Sharma. What about, just a second, sorry. What is the average earning per hour at Montana as part-time?
The earning per credit, I would assume, or part-time work.
As part-time work.
Dr. Paul, they might, part-time work.
Okay, it depends. We have students that are working in the business community that can be making $10 an hour, $12 an hour, sometimes even more. Students, there's also jobs on campus for students as well. So international students often find jobs on our campus. The salaries are not very high in Montana, and in Billings, the cost of living is quite low as well. So At this point in Billings, there are many jobs for our students. It's just a question to make sure that they are regulated and they are earning credit through an internship to work off campus. While on campus, we have plenty of opportunities for students.
So I guess we are over with the questions, and I have replied, and Dr. Paul also have replied all the questions. Any other questions we have?
So I
Let's see chat.
wanted to make sure that Elisa had a chance to say hi to everyone. Elisa is here. She is in charge of our immigration. She is our International Student and Scholars Services Coordinator. So she works very closely with MSM and working on the I-20 and the documents for the visa. So Elisa, welcome. It's good to see you here this morning. It's morning time in Montana. It's early, it's 8 o'clock. Well, now it's 8:30. Okay, other questions?
Hello, Alisa. If you want to, tell our, partner agents that what are the major, things for the immigration purposes in Montana or within the university or in the US, so that will be really, delightful.
Yeah, so for immigration, it's really quite simple. You just need to have you need to be accepted to the university, and then you need to provide a financial statement and a bank statement, just proving that you have the funds to enroll at MSUB for 1 year. And then immigration documents are created pretty quickly and sent to the student. It's nice, we are able to send them digitally now during this time with COVID. So you will receive them via email. And then it's up to the student to apply for an embassy appointment to set up their visa interview. And if all goes well, then the student receives a visa and can be on their way to study at MSUB. And any questions about, documents and anything, they can always just reach out directly to me or anyone in our office.
So Dr. Paul, thank you, Alisa. And Dr. Paul, we have one more question that is there any placement cell there for student so that they get placed after the graduation?
We have something called the career services. So a very important part of American education and the way we really rate our universities is how well we do in getting students careers and jobs after they graduate and how quickly we can get them placed into jobs. So we have an entire office that is just focused on career services. Throughout the undergraduate period, they will help students with their writing their resume, interview skills, job search, all the questions that they have about getting their first job. That is really important to us that we help the students when they do that. We also maintain good relationships with businesses and employers in Billings and in Montana and throughout the country. So we help students participate in job fairs. We have employers that will come to Billings right on campus at least twice a year where they will interview the students and meet with the students. This past year, we've had more and more virtual career fairs as well. So students are able to interview and show their resume and meet potential employers for the placement in their careers. So all universities do this. I think we do a pretty good job of that. We have very good professionals that are working there. But I have to say also within my office, Elisa and several other people, we work very closely with the community as well. So students will come to us and we will support them in their placement needs.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Paul. And there is one more question, that does the student have to live in isolation for 14 days or more due to COVID-19? I mean, does university have any facility for this, or the student have to arrange it by its own?
No, we have facilities. With COVID, it's hard to know the situation, what it'll be like in September. Um, at this point, Montana has no quarantine for international students. So students that arrive from anywhere in the world are able to live in our dorms immediately. We have very good support. Something else I should have mentioned, our student health services. So we have a clinic right on campus with doctors and nurses that are able to support the students. We have the ability to quarantine students or to put into isolation. If a student does exhibit signs and has COVID, we are able to put them in special locations within our college dormitories where they can live and they get supported by the student health services until they're well enough to come back to classes. So at this time, there is no quarantine for international arrivals. The only thing is required by the United States government is that everybody coming into the United States has to have a negative COVID test before they get on the plane to come to the United States. That is the general situation, but I know for India and for Indian students coming to the United States, there are additional requirements right now. I don't know too many details about those, but your students will probably be coming in September or in January of next year. Our semesters begin in September each fall or in January each year. So those are the two intake periods. In between now, May and September, I would imagine we'll have different requirements. So the requirements change constantly. We have a lot of experience working with students coming from all over, and we have very good facilities to support those students as well.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. That was the last question for the Q&A section. So now, lastly, I would just thank Dr. Paul and Alisa for the presentation and telling us the insights of MSUB and the US too. And I would also like to thank all our agent partners who just took out the time to attend the webinar. And still, in further, you have any questions, you can kindly redirect us at india@msubillings.edu. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Anchal. Thank you, Sneha. Thank you, everyone at MSM. Thank you, all of you, for participating in this. And again, we are here to answer questions. You can contact us through MSM, contact us directly. And we look forward to welcoming your students to Montana and to Billings at Montana State University Billings. Thank you.
Thank you.